and welcome to makeup. I don't know. Let's see how this turns out. Usually when it comes to my makeup videos, I'm very much like it goes off on a tangent, kind of rants about certain stuff, and then sometimes I have some pretty good opinions, if I can say so myself. But I thought I'd do something a little bit different because variety is the spice of life. Variety is the same as a vacation, and at the moment we can't go on vacation because of, pandemic. I guess this is as good as we're gonna get, is me changing up some of my content, changing up some of my quality, because ooh, she got the microphone again. Look at her go. But segue, as you can tell by the title and the thumbnail, I'm gonna be talking about why YouTube characters just never last. They just die, they fizzle out, they go from something so like, oh my gosh, this is great, I want to binge watch it, to all of a sudden just like, oh, again? So I'm gonna be discussing that as I put on makeup. That way I can kind of like keep myself, I want to be a little bit more concise than usual, so we'll see how that goes. Maybe me having structure to videos is not going to do well, because usually I just kind of start filming and then see how we end up. Let's try and give this a bit more professional finesse. The makeup that I'm going to try and attempt today is this one that I've seen all over TikTok, and I'm just absolutely obsessed with it because it makes your eyes, oh, maybe I should get rid of that. Kind of makes your eyes look like a sea anemone. An anemone, was that right? So in essence, when it comes to any kind of media, whether it's film, TV, social media, anything like that, the audience is fixated and keeps coming back for the development, either of the story, the characters, if they're in the macro sense or the micro sense. We are engaged with the development. We just want to see how everything unfolds, how one character goes from point A to point B, how the story goes from point A to point B. When you don't develop correctly, when you don't do the development correctly, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. You're sitting there super disappointed and you're like, great, I wasted however many hours of my life watching this just for the end result to be so underwhelming and so unsatisfying. And it's like, why did I even bother? Why did I sit here? Why did I do this thing? I don't want to do this thing. Give me that time back. Give it back. Ooh, I pressed a button. Some examples of character development that I just absolutely love, and I can keep watching these shows over and over and over and over, and I think it's just because of the development of the story and the characters themselves. One of my favorite character developments is Wesley Wyndham-Pryce from Buffy universe, and then Angel spin-off. He goes from this just pompous, uptight, like, cup of tea kind of Britishman to an absolute badass warlock kind of dude who, spoiler alert, shoots his dad without hesitation. Absolutely love it. It was incredible, and you could see the development go through, because at one point he was a rogue demon hunter, and it was very, very fun, and it's an incredible development. You see it throughout Charmed. Piper goes from not wanting to be a witch and then eventually gets to like this badass kind of witch, and you're just sitting there being like, yeah, get it, Piper, blow him up, do it. Supernatural is another one. Sam goes from not wanting to be a part of the family business to just being once again an absolute badass. But all of these stories do it in such a way where we can follow the development, and we absolutely love it, and we keep coming back because we want to see how each episode goes, but how the overarching plot goes. And you can definitely tell that I'm a fan of like the sci-fi-ish fantasy kind of genre. Character development and story development are one of the most important things in media, because if it doesn't develop at all, you're essentially watching the same thing over and over and over and over, and you get bored. Why do I always pick to do the intricate looks when I've had like 5 coffees in the morning? I'm shaking more than a bad bitch on the dance floor. So essentially, if you develop the characters and the storyline cohesively, you get the payoff of Avengers Endgame. If you don't, you get Suicide Squad. So with all of that said, that's the issue with most YouTube characters, because when you watch a YouTube video, you watch the development either of the person and their life, or of the person and their skill. Take Nikki Tutorials for instance. You watch her first video compared to one of her latest videos, skills improved, she's just more confident, which like the development of Nikki Tutorials still like blows me away, and I'm just like, as a watcher of hers, as a follower of hers, I'm blown away, and I'm weirdly so proud of her, which is that weird? I don't know. Either way, quality of video, quality of her skill just like exponentially grew. And it's a really fun adventure to go on, because we get to follow one of our favorite people in that. And that goes for every single YouTuber out there. But this is where YouTube characters goes downhill. Just With some people, it goes down fast and hard, and you're just kind of sitting there in the rubble just like, what happened? How... This point A to point B is not fun. Most people who find fame on YouTube, on all social media platforms when it comes to a character, and yes, there are some YouTubers out there who just play a more extravagant version of themselves, like themselves to like the power of 10 kind of situation. But when it comes to YouTube characters, which is someone who is just completely different from the person that is actually like embodying the character, there are words and a sequence of words, phrases if you will, that I should be saying right now, but I just don't know what they are. So most people when it comes to like YouTube characters find fame from like a video that just pops off, just like goes viral. TikTok, like YouTube in the beginning, TikTok for me, and then brought her on to YouTube, whatever. It's always one video, and then from that one video, either they have past videos with the same character and then people go back and watch those, and then it just kind of starts growing from that, or a person pops off on their first video and then they keep making videos like that because the audience that they now have just craves it, so they just keep going with it. The issue with this is that there isn't a set plan when it comes to the YouTube character. There is nowhere for the character to go unless you think of it on the spot. So there's no longevity with this character. Some fallen characters are any of Shane Dawson's. I think majority of the internet can look back at all of those characters for one issue or another. I'm not going to go into specifications because that's a whole entire other video, and so many videos have been made about this. But the issue with a lot of Shane's characters is there was no development. You had Shanae, and her development was just to get more and more intense. Same with like that like the blonde haired girl or whatever. There's a lot of characters. Or there's Fred, who's another fallen character. They're like, hey, it's Fred. Oh my gosh, I forgot to take my bells. That dude. If you don't know who Fred is, just look him up. It's a ride. But the issue with these YouTube characters is that there was no set plan for their development. There was no official storyline for their development. There was nowhere for it to go. With a lot of YouTube characters, if there isn't anywhere for the character to go, you can only do one thing, and that is just to push the character further into their kind of quirkiness. And they just end up becoming a caricature of their original self. And it gets to the point where either they become stale because it feels like the same video over and over again, except the character is now just shouting a lot more or something like that, or it just becomes so abrasive because it's just such a saturated version of the character that people end up clicking off because it's like, I just can't handle this anymore, and it's just not what I'm into anymore. And if they're a character that's already really extravagant, like, how do you become more extravagant? Makes no sense. Time to get in with the colors. When it comes to all the people that I'm going to talk about in these videos, I know that people have been cancelled, and I know that people have caused issues within the media with stuff that they've either said or done. That's not what this video is about. This video is just analyzing characters and character development and storyline development within YouTube, and specifically characters. So I'm not praising any wrongdoings that these people may have done. I'm just praising, I guess, the development side of their online content. Hope that I get that point across. But credit where credit is due, Miranda sings 100%. Colleen Ballinger has done an incredible job with the development of that character. Yes, she's still a little bit more of a saturated version than what she was when she started, but there was actual storylines and overarching plots within the Miranda Sings channel. Like when Colleen was pregnant, she used that as a storyline for Miranda. She's Ariana Grande's singing coach. That was an overarching plot. There's so many different plots and overarching stories within Miranda Sings so that we do come back, because there's a storyline to follow as well as a character development in there. So credit where credit's due, and also on top of that, she managed to turn this character into a whole entire Netflix series. Whatever your opinion is on the series is fine, but at the same time, you do have to commend her for having a YouTube character that has lasted as long as it has, as well as it has. I dare say that she probably had like a huge like list or wall or some sort of plan for Miranda, because if she didn't, I don't understand how she managed to like develop that kind of stuff on the spot. It was really nice to see someone with a character really put in the effort to really develop the character into something that wasn't abrasive and oversaturated and just like an absolute chore to watch, which so many now are. And that's, in all honesty, one of the issues that I had with my online character. If you're not aware, I have had an online character. Her name is Piloff. She's a self-confessed makeup goddess, just a complete and utter narcissist, thinks that she's the best thing in the world. Look, it's a vibe. I really enjoyed the vibe, but the issue that I was facing was that there was no overarching plot for me to go with. At the end of the day, you either have to develop the person behind the camera, or you have to develop their skills, whether the skills is makeup for me, sewing, which is also me, gameplay, just intellect, so like sciences, how to build stuff. Just there's so many things that you could do, either developing your skills and intellect, or developing as a person and developing your life into something that you didn't have before. A rags to riches story, for example. But the issue for me is that with Piloff, it's not her skills that are developing when it comes to makeup, they're mine. If Piloff's skills develop, it's because I put in the hard work. She didn't do anything. She doesn't exist. So I couldn't go down that route because I didn't want my successes to be attributed to someone who doesn't exist except for on my channel. It didn't seem fair to me, but it also doesn't seem fair to you guys. But also on top of that, if my successes are being attributed to my character, that also means that my failures are being attributed to my character. And the issue that I find with that is that there's been time and time again, so many people have done something wrong and just crappy, just shitty as a character, and instead of apologizing for it, they sit there and they're just like, oh guys, it was just all a part of the characterization. It wasn't me saying it, it was my character. I'm sorry, on YouTube, all YouTubers are writers, directors, editors, and actors. Like, we do all of the jobs. Some people have teams, dope, some people don't, I don't. So if I say something as Piloff or do something as Piloff that is damaging to a person or a group, then that's me doing it. So I didn't want to ever like put myself in the situation, not that I think that I'm going to do anything crappy, but I definitely didn't want to put myself into a situation where I had the scapegoat of Piloff, because that also just seems shitty. But so it's happened. It's definitely happened. Following on from that, if my successes and failures are mine, and she's there not taking credit, but she gets the credit because that's who was on the camera at the time, then the only other option I have is to go with how my life develops. But also, that life is mine. Once again, I'm in the same situation of my successes go to Piloff, my failures go to Piloff, and it's like, no, they're mine, and I don't want something that I guess doesn't exist to, I guess, get credit for something that I've either done wrong or worked my ass off for. It seems like it's just setting myself up for failure and setting you guys up for failure. So then my last and only option is to develop a whole entire other life for Piloff, is to develop a fake storyline for Piloff, which, look, it's not a bad idea. I would love to see that. Miranda Sings already does kind of do that, and it is really fun to watch at times. I could go with the same route, and I could, in all honesty, just create a completely different storyline for Piloff, but that also just, it doesn't sit right with me and what I want to do and all that kind of stuff. It seems like a lot of effort, kind of for nothing. And then also, if someone doesn't realize that it is a character, then I'm once again just setting myself up for failure and setting you guys up for failure as well. And then once again, I'm just kind of sitting there like, well, I just feel like an asshole. So once again, I don't want to do that. So with all of this said and all of this self-reflection, I've essentially said goodbye to Piloff, because to me, there is no way for her character to develop. And it's sad, and I'm sorry to anyone that I have disappointed in essentially saying goodbye to Piloff. There may be one or two other videos where I'll bring her back for a one-time only show, but for the moment, I'm just so much more happy being me. And That's wild. My childhood therapist would be very pleased with me right now. Damn, I had like a list of dot points that I wanted to make, and I just kind of went all out of order because I saw the opportunity to talk about Piloff and what happened to her. So we're just gonna go back. Last time I structured a video because apparently I don't do well with structure. In talking about all of this is also why some YouTubers manage to like stand the test of time, even if they don't do characters, and why some YouTubers just don't stand the test of time, and that is just how they develop. And how they develop as people and how they develop their content. That's why people like, and I know that there's been some drama lately about it, that's why people like David Dobrik are just so loved, because we go from his first vlog, which was like, I haven't watched it in so long, but his first vlog was cute, don't get me wrong. If David posted his first vlog now, you'd be like, okay, like cool, but then you watch his ones now and you're just like, yes, give it to me, yes, this is so exciting, this is, wow, you put how much dry ice in a pool? That's crazy. Like, once again, I have to give credit where credit's due, but like another example of just like great development of character and stories and all of that is the conspiracy theory documentary and palette, because at the end of the day, if it wasn't for that documentary, those palettes would not have sold anywhere near the same amount. Just saying. We got to see the beginning of the story, which was Shane has no idea about makeup. He has absolutely no clue when it comes to makeup. To him having this absolutely stunning palette and producing it and growing a bit of a spine at one point, which was crazy because he was always kind of putting himself out there into the world as someone who was like a pushover or something like that. So we got to see the development of that, and then when it came to the palette dropping, everyone wanted it because they wanted to be a part of this journey. They wanted something tangible to be a part of this journey, and people craved to be a part of that. That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about people wanting to be a part of it. I'm talking about people like going that extra mile to be a part of it and having something tangible as a part of it. So someone that did it right but has had a downfall since, and I'm not, once again, not stating my opinion on the downfall. The actual documentary itself was everything that it needed to be. If it wasn't, then the launch wouldn't have broken Spotify. It wouldn't have like broken records and all this kind of stuff. So I wrote this whole entire thing out in dot points and like in order of how I wanted to talk about them so that it like had cohesion. So what I was talking about had development, but I kind of went off on my own. So now everything's out of order. So we're going to try and create a segue. I talked about life experience, it being mine, and Piloff not allowed to have it because it's my life. So segue, life is a great development. There we are. Okay, that was a terrible segue. Never doing that again. Either way, so one way that people can develop is just how their life develops. One of the greatest ever ongoing stories in this world is just life itself, because everyone develops differently, even in the same kind of situations. People have different kind of situations, and they're left developing differently to the people around them who haven't experienced that. So life itself is what shapes us, and how we go about, I guess, tackling our life experiences. Because if something's on the negative sides of things, which like, I've definitely had my handful of those, it can either make you or break you. So it's just kind of that stuff, and no one's story is exactly the same. Doesn't matter what kind of content someone has, it is so common to watch just someone's life go from point A to point B. As I said before, Nikki Tutorials is a great example in the way of just like her first video. The quality of it was a little bit, she also finished the video asking for people to give her advice on how to like harness her skills better, which like, that's wild to me. If Nikki back then knew what Nikki knows now, she would be blown away, because I don't think Nikki Tutorials ever expected to go from that cute little munchkin to being one of the biggest makeup people on the platform. I love that development. I'm so proud of her. I'm so happy for her. I swear to God, this video isn't going to turn into another fangirl moment of mine, because like, I have a lot of those. This is all kind of done. So I think we're going to do the peel off now. Peel off. This is possibly going to hurt. Let's see if this bad boy actually worked. Oh, that was a baby hair. That hurt. Oh my God. Oh damn, this is actually working? TikTok, yes! Look at me in the eyeball though. That's not super fun. Oh! Just got a little noodle coming off my eyebrow. Hey JJ, you wanna know what would be a really good idea? Do a format of video that you've never done before with a makeup that you've never done before. I'm sure that that's gonna go super duper well. Or right. Ah, look at that noodle. There's a plane going over now. Why won't you let me film? What was that? Why won't you all let me film? Nope, still did the But something that happens with character development is that there can be bad character development and there can be bad story development. And that even happens with the personality YouTube versus the character YouTube. And I know that this video started off with me being like, why character YouTubers don't last. And the reason why I'm starting to bring up more reality-based YouTubers is because there needs to be a highlight of what character YouTubers just are going to lack indefinitely unless the work is put in comparison to people who just put themselves at the forefront of the video or behind the video if they're a voiceover kind of video. That wasn't a read. Sometimes I say things and it comes off as a read. It's not. I just have a like bleh kind of voice. Bleh, bleh. When I'm trying to be serious, I'm very much like this. And I feel as though I should be semi-serious about talking about this stuff instead of me like putting baked beans on my face and being like, I'm two different kinds of people. She's complex. But yeah, as I was saying, there's such a thing as like bad development. When you see it in movies, you get things like Suicide Squad. There's not enough character development or storyline development to get the impact that we want with certain things. Like one dude died in the first like 20 minutes and I had no idea who that guy was. And I was just like, I feel as though I'm supposed to care. But I don't even know who that is. There was really awful character development with one of my favorite characters in Angel as well. What they did to Cordelia is just an absolute abomination. So you can definitely have bad character development that leaves us as an audience sitting there being like, ugh, but why though? But people can do that in real life as well. It just depends on what situation they're in and how they handle the situation, whether they come out good or they come out kind of like a villain. So time and time again, we see that people's ethics and morals just get like a little bit questionable and they just seem to be a little bit more of a corrupt version of their original self. There just seems to be a lot on YouTube and just social media in general, actually in media in general, where people have a platform, people have a sense of power with it, and because they have that, they just think that they're above certain consequences or just above a person or people that they're possibly gonna hurt with their actions, with their words, all that kind of stuff. But the difference between YouTube and like a real person on YouTube rather than the character, and things like a character in movies and TV shows, the difference between that is that when there's a bad guy, a movie or a TV show needs a villain. It needs it needs some sort of antagonist. It needs something bad or just against the protagonist to keep the story going, to keep like, to give hurdles, to give meaning to like the final, like, oh my gosh, it's there for a purpose. It has a point. It needs to be there. Otherwise, what are you watching? Like that would just be the most boring film if you follow like a character or a group of characters and they face nothing like of a hurdle in the whole entire movie. Do you know how boring that would be? I would tap out of that so fast. If in the first 20 minutes of the film, you are not facing your first hurdle, I'm out. So when it comes to media and stuff, there is a reason why we have bad guys. We need it. Otherwise, there is no entertainment within the TV show or movie itself. But the issue when it comes to like social media and people that put themselves on social media is if they develop into like a questionable or just bad person, like what actual purpose does that serve? It serves nothing. You're a bad person not to, like, they're just a bad person and it serves no purpose. There's no point. There's absolutely no point. You don't gain anything from it. Well, if maybe you gain satisfaction from putting someone down, which like, if that's the case, human definition of a dry heave. So sometimes we watch our favorite YouTubers fall just because they've done something crappy. And then they apologize, but then sometimes the apologies don't go well because we're watching it and we're like, you're saying sorry, but also somehow you're not. We all know one YouTuber who was just like, I'm so sorry. Oh my god, want me still? Oh my gosh, like I'm so sorry. And it's like, okay, but what you sorry about, fam? Tell us what you're sorry about. Come on. It's like speaking to a toddler. I've said this before in one of my other videos. It's like actually speaking to a toddler. A toddler does something wrong and you're just like, say sorry. And they're just like, I'm sorry. And it's like, okay, but why are you sorry? They're like, I don't know. And it's like, okay, so you're not actually sorry. You're just saying it because you got caught and because you're in trouble and you don't want people to be angry at you. And it's like, okay, that's fine. Like no one wants people to be angry. Oh, I guess some people do. But like no one wants people to be angry at them. But also like, if you screwed up, my fam, own it. But like how many times have we seen someone apologize for the same stuff over and over and over? And it's like, okay, so you're not learning your lesson and you just don't care. I'm like, you're allowed not to. Apology videos sometimes just do my absolute head in. What's the point? Oh yeah, she's looking kind of cute. Oh, look at me go, mom. So bad character development on YouTube can either go down the way of just like someone that you once loved essentially just turns into a villain, or it's those OG YouTubers that just haven't stood the test of time. Their views have gone down, just everything's gone downhill, and they're sitting there being like, oh, but how's that happened? People always say on social media that the key is to adapt, which is also to develop. If you can't adapt with the times or develop with the times, then you're gonna get left behind. My scoliosis is really feeling it today because I'm just sitting upright, kind of proper, and my back's just like, ugh. When have you tried to have good posture, JJ? Don't start now. So in summary, ultimately, YouTube characters just cannot physically last unless you treat them and plan them like characters are planned when it comes to TV and movie. There's no possible way. There's just no possible way for them to still be as engaging as they were when they first popped off, unless you really plan them out the same way that they're planned out in movies and TV. There's just no possible way. It doesn't work. I love when a makeup look actually like works out because this is all kinds of, ooh, and she was so easy once you get the latex down. If you mess up the latex, which you kind of did, you have to do it like 5 more times. But right now, I feel just absolutely invincible. Awesome, amazing. Yes, us, go us. And as I was saying, when you compare character YouTubers to reality YouTubers, you can see like how someone can develop and how a character can develop, especially on YouTube. Either their life develops into something more extravagant, or I guess heartbreakingly something more sad, and you go on that adventure. You just go on the adventure that is their life, or you go on the adventure that is their skill and their intellect. Those are typically the 2 points that we go down. There's probably other ones, but those are the majority. So when you take that and try and put it into one of the characters, you need to come up with a definite overarching plot that can last seasons, especially if you're trying to do it once a week. If you're doing it once a week and maybe taking 10 weeks off, that's still a whole 42 videos a year. So you have to come up with a whole entire plot for a year. It seems like a lot. To me personally, I couldn't commit to that, as I said before. So unless you're putting in the time and the effort to come up with overarching plots, overarching character development, and then development within singular episodes, it's just never gonna last and it's never gonna work, because eventually the character has nowhere to go except for become an oversaturated version of itself, which then just becomes abrasive, or it just becomes stale and you just don't want to watch it anymore. Development in any kind of YouTube career is crucial, and good development, cohesive development is crucial. Otherwise, you're just not gonna last. And it's a sad reality, but it is the reality. And for all of these reasons and everything that I've already talked about, it's why I have essentially said goodbye to my character, because there was nowhere for her to develop. There was nowhere for her to evolve. What she is and what she was as good as she was gonna get. And I would rather finish her on a high note before she devolved into a villain, or she just became stale, or became a caricature of herself and became too abrasive and saturated to watch. That's everything that I wanted to talk about. I'm sorry that this video is probably going to be super duper long. I'm looking at how much I have to edit. 2.5 hours worth of footage. Love that for me. With this being the end of the video, please let me know if you like this format, because it's very different for me. And I'm kind of nervous, but maybe this is just part of my character development. I don't know. Let's just kind of bring everything back to that, right? Let's say it one more time together. Development. But please let me know what you think down in the comments. I would appreciate if no one just went in and straight up attacked any other YouTuber or any other social media person. So like, please, like, if you have negative opinions, dope, fine, go for it. But let's not just go for the low blows is all I'm asking, because that isn't what this video's purpose is. It's not to like tear anyone down, it's just to kind of highlight a few things. But also please let me know if you like this format, because I really enjoyed just sitting down for a change, because usually I'm standing. I really enjoyed for a change just sitting down and kind of chilling with you guys and talking about what's been on my mind. That Piloff has been on my mind. That's a shit. We had a cute little identity crisis, let's be honest. So please let me know if you like the format as well, because if you do, I would love to do more videos like this. If you have any ideas of what videos you would like to see around this kind of format, please let me know, because yeah, just I'm excited to see, like, I'm excited to see what y'all think. I read all my comments, so yeah, I'm just excited to see what y'all think. But I hope that you are having a fantastic day, a fantastic week, a fantastic month, a fantastic year, and you are being as fantastic as always. Bye everyone.